Good day, everyone, and welcome to episode 14 of the HJC podcast, powered by HockeyJerseyConcepts.com. I'm your Saturday writer, blog admin, Ryan, and joining us today, Monday's writer, Sean. How's it going today, Sean?
Glad to be back on once again. Jets just won. I'm thrilled.
Well, they beat Buffalo. Everyone beats Buffalo. And also Tuesday's writer, Ben. How's it going, Ben?
I'm doing well. The Red Wings just beat a team from Florida for the first time since I think Yzerman was captain, so that's always a good sign.
That's good. That's good. Did you guys see the tweet from the Florida beat writer? He's been covering the Panthers. Anyways, I retweeted it. And just the empty press box in Florida, there was a row of about 6 seats that were laid out for press members to cover the Panthers home game. And no one was there. I don't know if you guys saw that tweet.
If they want to fly us to Florida, we'll gladly cover the Panthers for you.
Yeah, I'll do 41 games in Sunrise. No problem. Doesn't matter if they win or lose. Definitely need to be paid for that, though. Today on the podcast, we're definitely going to be talking about the NHL All-Star Game jerseys that were revealed this week. 4 of them for the 4 different divisions. We'll get our takes on them, give them a rating. We're also going to be talking about the Leigh Valley Phantoms of the AHL releasing their version of the Color Rush jerseys. They'll be using that for an outdoor game. And we'll hit our usual segments, fake or authentic, and we'll check out the mailbag and, of course, Throwback Throwdown on this episode. So you guys ready to get started?
Let's do it.
All right, let's jump right in to the NHL All-Star jerseys. And we'll start in the East with the blue jersey with the yellow trim, which has been referred to as UV yellow in tribute to the sunshine that they get in the Tampa area. And there's also the gray jersey with the UV yellow trim. Let's start with the blue jersey for the Atlantic Division. This is the one that Steven Stamkos, probably Austin Matthews, and those group of folks will be wearing. Sean, what'd you think of this one?
Of them, it's probably my favorite one so far. I like that it is blue. Tampa blue makes sense. Of all the jerseys that have the UV yellow gold on it, it looks the best. They're very simple jerseys, so I can't really say much as to the design, but of the 4 of them, this one's probably my favorite.
Are they too simple?
They're just barely not. They're borderline. It's very similar to some of the jerseys that we got from Adidas in the World Cup of Hockey. The borderline, almost too simple, but there's just enough. And the numbers do add a lot, I think.
They do. Yeah, they rely heavily on the numbers. Ben, what'd you think on the Atlantic Division's blue jersey?
I'm going to have to see this game in person, but I just don't think there's enough contrast between that blue and black. So hopefully the Central and Atlantic don't meet.
I think they might be counting on the yellow and the orange being the contrasting factor there. Who knows? And we're still waiting to see the pants. Who knows what the pants look like?
Yeah, that might help.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that UV yellow. If this was a regular NHL team full-time set, I'd probably hate it. But it's a one-off All-Star game. They say they tie it into the state of Florida, so.
Yeah, well, they're gonna have a reason for everything here. I mean, they've renamed orange to red, and they could have just told us that it was yellow on the jerseys, but no, they got to give a name to the yellow, right? And it's all an effort to sell more jerseys. We know that.
Interestingly, like looking at this, you mentioned the pant color. I can't think of a year where they had multiple pant colors recently, since I think 2012.
Well, logically, if you look at the jerseys, I guess black pants are what work for all of them. And
it's also the second year we've had just the regular NHL shield.
Yeah, now that's another thing I thought that maybe with the way they've chromified, Adidas has the collar NHL shield. I really thought we might see that on the All-Star Game jerseys on the main crest, but that's not what they've done, because I believe in their press release they said they were going for lightweight jerseys and It's the exact same junk we got from Nike when they revealed the Olympic jerseys. So
they're not that bad.
No, they're definitely not that bad. They're not that bad. Ben, what did you think of the gray Metropolitan jersey?
I'm not a fan for gray of gray's sake, but I think it makes sense for an all-star game. You have to get 4 colors that are distinct. I don't think they did it with the blue, but I think the gray is different enough from the white, so it works.
I'm a fan of seeing gray jerseys. We don't get enough gray jerseys in the NHL, so I'm not necessarily a fan of this layout. I think the white one for me is the only one that works, the Pacific Division, but I'm still happy to see a gray jersey and definitely doesn't need full hem stripes, I think, but something on the hem of any of these jerseys would really add to it. But of course, that would interfere with the 3 Adidas stripes running down the side of the jersey. And I mean, while we're on it, let's talk about the Fanatics version of these jerseys, not featuring those 3 Adidas stripes along the side. Sean, what do you think about that?
I'm looking at it right now, the Atlantic Division 1, and they look absolutely awful. Because the Adidas stripes, yes, they are a brand marking, but they serve a purpose to add some color to the bottom of the jersey. Very subtle, but it seems to work kind of well on all of them with the exception of the gray jersey. So you're taking that away, and what you're left with is a jersey that has nothing below the logo. Literally nothing.
Yeah, it's pretty plain to begin with, but then just it's to me, they're taking away a part of the jersey, and it's based on this silly marketing deal.
Gimmick.
Yeah, silly gimmick, just to, suck us dry of all our dollars. Ben, what are your thoughts on the Fanatics jerseys not having those Adidas stripes down the side?
I was really curious as to why that was. Is it like an ownership thing? Like Adidas owns the 3 stripes and they wouldn't give it away?
That's essentially how I understand it. I have no knowledge of the deal, but Adidas, I guess that's Adidas branding, the 3 stripes. I know there's Adidas slogan is the company with the 3 stripes or something along those lines. So Fanatics does not include any Adidas branding on their jerseys, and that's why it's absent.
This is the kind of stuff that Reebok would do to like the youth jerseys.
Yeah.
Because they're kids. They don't care if there's 3 stripes on the side of jerseys. But they've improved the youth jerseys since then. But now the adult jerseys now are just getting the parts of them that are hard to do or that we can't do.
They're getting the garbage treatment, the adult jerseys.
Doesn't the white doesn't the West? I'm looking at this right now. They kind of look like Cincinnati Bengals jerseys.
I was thinking an X-Wing pilot uniform, but yes, I can see Bengals uniforms too there.
Especially the black one with those 3 stripes look like tiger stripes. So
I do like the colors.
Yeah.
Ben, what do you think of the West jerseys, the black and orange? Or, hold on, they're actually called solar red. We're apparently all mistaken. That's not orange. That's solar red. What do you think, Ben?
Either I'm colorblind or Adidas has to go back to kindergarten level resource, but it's the same design as the East. The lack of hem stripe really kills it. Standard star stripe pattern. I think the sleeve design is too simple as well, just those blocks.
So you guys would like to see the patterns extend all the way around the arms?
Yeah, I think that would. I don't think it would save the jersey. Your idea of the hem stripe, I think, would do a better job at that. But I'd prefer if the pattern went all the way around and not like those. Like if you look at the photos of the '80s Islanders, where the sleeve striping inexplicably just stops in the middle of the arm.
Now, what about? I'm just looking at some pictures here and going back to the gray Metropolitan jersey. The sleeve stripe is silver with the stars inside of it, and the jersey is just a dull gray. And I'm wondering if under stadium lights or under arena lights, how ridiculous that may look.
You have a bin bag look. If you remember the 04 Mavericks garbage bag alternates, we might have garbage band armbands.
Another thing that I saw come up on the internet was that the reason the collar laces were chosen, the style of collar laces, which is just the 3 laces going across. There's no laces dangling out of the collar. Was to resemble the three stripes of Adidas. Ben, what do you think? Is that an Adidas attempt to add branding or just a design choice?
I can see it as a choice of branding. If Adidas is smart, they'll put their branding everywhere, so everywhere you look at the jersey, you know it's Adidas. I don't have a problem with it. It calls back to the older sweater styles, and it's contemporary edition. So I say, why not?
Sean?
I don't buy it because the 2014 Stadium Series jerseys had that exact same collar style. That's something that came out what'll be about half a decade ago right now. I mean, I get it. If that is what they wanted to do, it kind of works, but this isn't a new thing Adidas is rolling out.
All right, I got 3 questions for you guys regarding these. If you had to pick a favorite of the 4, which one would it be, Sean?
I'm going to stick with the Atlantic that I said earlier for a second consecutive year.
Ben, you got a favorite from the bunch?
I'd go with the Central. I like how the solar red or whatever and the black go together.
And I would have to go Pacific the white one. If I'm gonna choose one, I reluctantly choose one. These aren't my favorite, but I do recognize that it could be a lot worse. And I also want to mention, to be very unpopular, the Adidas collar, when used in a certain fashion, like it is here, is growing on me.
Yeah.
Still can't stand it.
And I know a lot of people
I get what you mean. It's like it adds you could call it a collar stripe.
Yeah, I know it could be better. It's not an ideal situation, but it has grown on me. So if you guys had to, will you guys be picking up one of these jerseys? Sean, would you buy one of these jerseys?
No, but I don't buy All-Star Game jerseys usually. They're not good enough for me to break that trend, but they're not bad enough for me to swear off All-Star Game jerseys forever. They're far from the worst. They're far from the best.
What if this game was hosted in Winnipeg with these exact same jerseys? Would you buy one?
Well, now that's those are extemporaneous circumstances. I probably would, actually. I probably would pick up a Central or an Atlantic.
Ben, will you buy one of these jerseys? Would you?
I wouldn't. I've never been a fan of the All-Star games. These are going to be worn once, and we're never going to see them again. They're just not that special to me.
And if the game was held in Detroit, you still wouldn't buy it?
Still wouldn't.
Okay. Yeah, I have no intention of picking one of these up. I'm not a huge fan of All-Star game jerseys. And if the game was in Toronto, you know what? I don't know if I would pick one up. It would all depend. I'd have to wait till after the game. If a Leaf had a massive game, a massive All-Star game, I might pick up the Atlantic one, but it would all be circumstantial. Now let's give a rating out of 10 to these. Sean, what do you say on these?
I'd say I'd give Atlantic a 7.5. I'd give the Central and Pacific both a 7, and the Metropolitan gets a 6.
So an average rating is 7 as a group.
Exactly.
Ben, what are you rating these?
I think they're all pretty similar. I'd give them about a 6. Just barely overpassable. I'm really not a fan of the design. It's too simple. Some of the elements don't work together. I really don't like the numbers on the back. Those thin stripes that they used from that bridge in the area just doesn't go well with those blocks of color we see on the arms.
I'm going to give these a 5. I understand the All-Star Game and the Stadium Series games are a chance to do something different with jerseys, but these ones just aren't working with me. The stripes not continuing around the arms is a little ridiculous. I do enjoy the collars. The silver, again, a little hokey, little gimmicky for me, and no hem stripes kills it for me. And the major thing is the Adidas stripes on the side. I guess this is where we're heading with every chance that we get. But I don't think it's acceptable. If they're not going to allow other companies to brand on their jerseys, then I don't think Adidas should be allowed to go that far with their branding. But that's why they paid X amount of money. I think it was $90 million for the jersey deal so that they can do stuff like this. So I'm going to give these jerseys a 5. We're going to be coming right back, and we're going to be talking about another New Jersey, just in a different league. The Lehigh Valley Phantoms of the AHL released their version of the Color Rush jerseys. We'll be right back.
The HJC Podcast, every Saturday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, on HockeyJerseyConcepts.com.
Okay, we're back, and the Lehigh Valley Phantoms of the AHL have an all-orange jersey that they're going to be wearing outdoors. Sean, you did a post on this, so why don't you update the listeners on just exactly what this jersey is?
Yeah, I only found this out about 3 days ago, but apparently the team had actually unveiled this on Twitter December 30th. They put out a video in which they showed off what they are actually calling a Color Rush jersey. It's a orange, sort of a, think of the pre-Edge Leafs jersey, same collar and everything, with the Lehigh Valley Phantoms logo on it. And they're going to wear this in the AHL Outdoor Classic, which is January 20th in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Now, it looks like from the screen cap that you put up on your post that they will be wearing, I'm going to say it looks like they're wearing orange pants and not black pants. So that'll be interesting. For me, that takes it down a notch. Ben, have you had a chance to peek at these jerseys and just your initial thoughts?
Well, I tried to look at them. I could have done without the strobe lights on their YouTube video. One thing I couldn't tell, maybe you guys can help me out. Is that a black helmet?
Yes.
Or is it an orange helmet? Okay. I think an orange helmet would have made more sense. Could go all orange. I'm not sure how I feel about the orange pants, but, if teams like the Red Wings can pull off red from head to toe, why not orange? I guess we'll have to see it on the ice without the strobe lights to tell for sure.
I haven't seen the video, but from the screen cap that's on HockeyJerseyConcepts.com, it looks like that might be a matte black helmet and not a shiny black helmet. I don't know if you guys saw anything in the video, but
I couldn't tell. Again, the unveiling was very, it was strobe lighty and subtle.
An AHL second rate?
Yeah, it's nice to see a team try and do something similar to the NFL in hockey. But one thing that I do find interesting about it is that there's no event logo on the jersey.
Yes, that's true. And sometimes, when it's left up to the individual teams, I guess you get what you get, and we'll cover that when we get to fake or authentic. But just looking at this orange jersey, the picture from the video, it doesn't impress me. And also the fact that there's no numbers on the jersey. For us jersey nerds, that's a big item that they've left out, that they're not showing us. And I don't think they'll do something cool with the numbers, but I would like to see them do something cool with the numbers. In the promotional photo that they provided, I do kind of actually like the jersey. There appears to be black cuffs on it. It's just as you said, Sean, it's a pre-Edge Maple Leafs jersey that's orange and black and the exact same collar. It's got cuffs on it. I kind of like this jersey.
It has a subtle Philadelphia Quakers feel to it, I think.
Oh, good point. Yeah. Good point.
That I really like about it. The numbers, I think they should either go traditional, just black block font, or try to tie it into those little flares on the logos.
Great idea. Ben, what are your overall thoughts on this orange jersey?
I really like it. I like how they had a theme and they just stuck to it. They said, okay, we're going to do orange all out, and then we're going to trim it up with some thin black stripes. Really appreciate consistency in designs. I really like how this turned out. I guess one criticism I could have for it is instead of those thin black stripes, they could have added some white as well to go with that logo. But overall, I really like how this one turned out.
Yeah, this is a plus. I like it better than the All-Star Game jerseys. I think this is a win, and it's the AHL too. And who knows? It could be something that the Flyers influenced. We've seen the NHL teams test the waters, so to speak, with their AHL teams and kind of asking them to do certain jerseys. So who knows? Maybe this is the Flyers knowing that they're going to have they got the Stadium Series game coming up next year against the Penguins. So maybe this is something they're interested in. But I'm a fan of this jersey. Not a fan of the orange pants, but we'll see how it works out. Overall, I like this jersey. Sean, you got a rating for the Lehigh Valley Phantoms outdoor jersey?
I'll give it a solid 7.5 out of 10. I think it's going to look a little weird having all orange skaters up against the classic Hershey Bears jersey we're going to see. I don't think it's the greatest matchup, but individually, the jerseys, I think together overall, I'd give the whole game an 8.
Ben, rating on this jersey?
For the jersey, I'd give it an 8.5. I really like it. Not too much to say other than that.
I'd give this one I want to give it a 7.5, maybe a little bit more. I really appreciate that they're just going with, they're hitting you with orange, and they're calling it Color Rush, and that's the intention, and they didn't try and do anything else fancy or above and beyond. And they've done what works with a hockey jersey, and then added in this Color Rush theme. So it's not exceptional, but it's still pretty good. So my rating lies somewhere between a 7.5 or an 8, somewhere in there. I appreciate this jersey. We got a couple extra minutes, so let's fit in a quick discussion about goalie masks and modern designs versus retro designs. And I'll start us off being a 30 and over male. I grew up with 80s and 90s goalie masks, and so I do very much prefer the retro style. And there's one thing on a goalie mask that really I love, and it's a simple thing that goalies can do if they want a retro mask, and that is have white under the cage. The cage overlaps the helmet a little bit, and if they have white under where the cage is, that's the way it was in the 80s, and it really makes a strong retro mask. Sean, what are your thoughts on current masks versus retro masks?
Yeah, see, I'm a little younger, so I grew up during the pre-lockout and then post-lockout into Edge, and there is a big difference in sort of I'm going to call it at the Edge. During the early Edge years, we saw a lot more of these modern designs. I'm going to go a totally different road. I'm a cage man, personally. I love the look of, I appreciate a modern goalie helmet, but a Chris Osgood, that's my kind of goalie helmet, personally.
There's Goalie Geared Nerd there on Twitter, and they have shirts, and it's respect the combo, and it's appreciation for that helmet. Ben, your quick thoughts on retro masks or old masks versus modern masks?
I do like the modern masks better, but I will always have a soft spot for the cage. Growing up, my favorite player was Dominik Hasek. Then when he retired, he was replaced with Chris Osgood, and they both wore the cage with the winged wheel on them, which was great. I do like the modern mask better, however. I think I like the sleek look to them, and they're completely different from the player's mask, so it's a nice way to have the goalie stand out.
Yeah, I would like to see, Freddie Anderson for the Leafs next century game where they wore the arenas jerseys. He had a throwback mask, and it kind of had some modern computer-generated elements to it, but I really like the simplicity of the mask, and it was a one-time use thing, but I really enjoyed it, and I would like to see more goalies go with a retro style, but incorporate some of the cool things that you can do with a modern mask. It's now time for Throwback Throwdown, and this is the segment where we take two retro jerseys, pit them against each other, and choose a winner. And considering tonight the Vancouver Canucks are in Toronto to play the Maple Leafs, we are going to take the early 80s Canucks Flying V jerseys. This is the yellow jersey and the black jersey with the V coming down the front of the chest, and then the yokes extending into arms, and there's another V there, two Vs there. And they're going up against the Toronto Maple Leafs 80s jerseys. These are the jerseys with the long sleeves and the broad hem stripe, known for the Rick Vive era. And I guess the Vancouver Canucks jerseys are known for the, I guess you could say, Stan Smeel era. So, Sean, just give us a quick review on the Vancouver Canucks Flying V jersey.
Well, they're ambitious. For a while, I think people thought they were the worst jersey in hockey, but since then, there's kind of a charm to them.
Turd burger.
No, much better than the turd burger. I think we can all agree on that.
Ben, your thoughts on the Vancouver Canucks Flying V jersey?
I can't fault them for a lack of originality, but I just don't like how this one turned out. It just looks like a baby bib. That shade of yellow is just horrendous. Not a fan of how it went with red and black either.
Now, I actually like the colors on the jersey, but the V on the pants was too far. Those could have just been solid black pants. And the thing that drove me nuts about this jersey, and it may have just been what was available at the time, but it was that rubber iron-on material for the V instead of stitched material. And you could clearly tell it was a air knit jersey. It was not a good quality jersey. You could just tell that, and you can see it in pictures. So,
and they had the TV numbers on the cuffs at one point, I believe.
Yes, and they became irrelevant, nearly. Yeah. So not a huge fan of this jersey. Who would be? Do love the yellow helmet with the yellow jersey. Big fan of that. Yellow socks. So the colors look fantastic. The layout of the jersey, though, not spectacular. Let's move over to the Maple Leafs and their 1980s jersey. And this jersey is just associated with failure. Sean, your thoughts on this jersey?
It's that lack of a tie down that the 70s jerseys had, and it's one of the only differences between them. But once that tie down went, all the happiness of Sittler and Salming, all that went away, and they stuck around for a long time. I don't think people realize that they wore these jerseys into the 90s. But yeah, they're the one set of Leafs jerseys, with the exception of the first Edge jerseys, that you never see at Leafs games, and I think there's a reason for it, despite them being, I think, all right looking.
Ben?
There's an understated simplicity here. That I guess what's now a retro logo is more simplistic than what they had done in the past, and they had a really simple, one stripe pattern that went with it, and the look works.
For me, again, the jerseys are associated with failure, and if you look at Toronto's jersey history as a whole, these are the black sheep. They stick out like a sore thumb. They don't look classic to me. And just later in their life, after they were used on the ice, another thing that bothered me is the CCM vintage version of it is incorrect. The shoulder patch should be the same shape as the primary crest, but instead they use the Canadian Maple Leaf as the shoulder patch. So that just makes this jersey worse all over again. And then the socks were just two stripes, not a single stripe, a single broad stripe to match the hem stripe. Not a single broad stripe to match the pant stripe. So just overall, not a fan of this jersey in the Leafs collection. So it's time to pick a winner. Sean, who you picking and why here?
I'm going to pick the Toronto jerseys, and I love the Flying V, don't get me wrong, but I think of all the young guys in the early 90s who would bring so much joy to Leafs fans, who would wear those jerseys in their first few games as a Maple Leaf. And I think that those jerseys became, like, when they went away, it was a symbol that they were going to be good again. And frankly, I just think that if the CCM vintage was accurate, I'd probably own one by now. So I'm going to give it to that.
Ben?
I'm going to go with Toronto as well, mostly because the Canucks was a swing and a miss. Toronto's works much better here.
And I'm just thinking about it now. I'm going to go with Vancouver. And it's based solely on that Toronto's jerseys are just from a losing, terrible era in the franchise's history. Whereas Vancouver, they have, maybe in the same way some of the writers like the Turdberger jersey, they have a bit of charm to them for being so bad. And like I said, I enjoy the colors. So I'm going to give it to Vancouver. But it makes no difference. The winner of this Throwback Throwdown, the Toronto Maple Leafs 1980s jersey. And now
Don't forget, Ryan, Jeff Reese's amazing mask looked so good with that jersey.
I can't help but note Jeff Reese as my first ever favorite player in the NHL. As a small 6-year-old Leafs fan, I wrote to him because I enjoyed his equipment and his mask, the greatest mask in Leafs history as far as I'm concerned. And he wrote me back on his computer. This is 1989, 1990. Jeff Reese had a computer, and he wrote me back personally. And he sent me an autographed photo, which I still have today. So yes, Jeff Reese, my favorite player of all time, wore these jerseys, but still did not convince me to change my vote. We'll be right back with Fake or Authentic. Fake or authentic? This is the part of the podcast where I give statements and we choose whether or not they're fake or authentic, just like your favorite jerseys out there. So here comes the first statement, and we clued into this a little bit earlier in the show. But teams should be allowed by the NHL to stage their own outdoor games. So Montreal could have their own outdoor game. They put it on. It's up to them to put on the event. Any team could do it like that. Sean, fake or authentic on this one?
Fake, because all it's going to take is one team to fudge this, and it's going to ruin the fun for everyone. And I can already think of a couple teams that would do this as an attempt to try and save their failing franchise. But I'd like to see it, but I couldn't stand as a fan getting excited for an outdoor game that may be actually accessible for the average fan to get to, only for it to be canceled for whatever reason, because I feel like that would be the biggest thing with these games.
Ben, you giving this a fake or authentic?
I'll have to go with authentic. If teams can run a game in their own barn, why can't they go outside for a day? If teams don't think that they can pull it all off together, I guess it would take a lot of coordination. Like, what are you going to do with the officials? How are you going to coordinate with the owner of the venue? But teams think they can do it. I think they should be allowed to go for it.
Yeah, I'm going to go with authentic on this statement too. I mean, now the games aren't necessarily TV friendly. They're fun to watch on a holiday. I'm talking specifically the Winter Classic. It's kind of fun to watch if there's cool sight lines, and it's on a holiday when people are home. But after, the first 3 minutes of the game, it's just another game after that. So what it comes down to is the fans who are going to the game and the players who are playing the game, it's for them at that point. So if it's going to be just for the fans going and the players, why not let the teams, put on their own outdoor game? And the NHL would have to approve who's going to do it each year, because as Sean said, you're going to have someone like Arizona just put on a hokey game and against, Winnipeg and create a silly trophy called the Franchise Cup or something silly.
The Avco Cup too.
Exactly. So, the NHL would have to approve it, and I'm sure you'd have to present the NHL with a plan. But I do think that each team should be able to put on their own outdoor game. For example, I would love to see the Leafs. It wouldn't even be an outdoor game. It would just be a stadium game. Find a way to play in the Skydome and pack 50,000 plus in there. And I think against Ottawa or Montreal, that would sell. Or even Buffalo, you might get enough people up there. Our second statement for fake or authentic, and this pertains to some of the writers purchasing Turd Burger jerseys. It's almost become the HJC writer's unofficial uniform. But the Sabres Turd Burger jersey is so bad that it must be in my jersey collection. Fake or authentic, Sean?
Well, I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't say authentic, because I was one of the writers that went out and bought one when it went heavily on sale.
So why do you need to own this jersey?
Because the funny thing is, until I actually owned one, I didn't think I needed to. And then the thing is that this jersey's bad enough. Get one in your hands, and you realize that there's like 4 different materials on this jersey within the piping and everything around it. The how dull the jersey is without any white in the numbers, and the way that they make the cape pattern look. I don't know if this is just the premier jerseys, but it doesn't have that silhouette cape pattern that we all came to expect. No, this thing is something you need to get into your hands and get on and do that turnaround. The first time you put a Turd Burger on and you do a little spin around and you realize that first you're blue and now you're yellow. There's a little bit of a thrill to that.
Oh my God. It's like a prom dress for Jersey nerds, right?
Yeah.
Ben, thoughts on fake or authentic? The Turd Burger is so bad it needs to be in your jersey collection.
Just fake. Fake.
Fake. I have to be there with you, Ben. This is fake for me. This was an atrocious jersey. It's the worst ever for me. It is in the 100+ years of NHL hockey. The Turd Burger is the worst ever jersey, in my opinion. It doesn't even have any charm to it like the We talked about the Flying V Vancouver jersey. It has no charm like the Wild Wing or the Islanders Fisherman jersey. There's nothing funny or ironic about it. It's just a terrible, terrible jersey. Everything about it is so terrible. Even the fact that the owners came out and loved it and promoted it, and that doesn't make it good. It's still a terrible jersey, and no, it cannot be in my jersey collection. The only time I might get it is if the options on the table for $1 were a turd burger, a Habs jersey, and a Senators jersey. Then I might get the turd burger. Unless it was at Costco. Then I would just leave the jerseys on the table and go get a hot dog. Third statement and our final statement for fake or authentic. Fake or authentic, I would rather my team miss the playoffs than make it all the way to the Stanley Cup final and lose. Sean.
I'm going to say authentic for the reason. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to say fake. I want them to make it to the Cup final because they've never done it. Now, if I were a Vancouver fan, I'd say things differently. If I was a fan of a team that consistently made the playoffs, has made it to a few Cup finals in my lifetime, and has lost in every one of them, then, maybe I might be like, you know what, just missed the playoffs, saves me getting through 3 rounds and buying all the beer and all that just to find out you can't beat Pittsburgh.
Ben, fake or authentic on this one?
I have to go absolutely fake. I just can't stand missing the thrill of going through 3 rounds and watching your team play for an extra 2 months. Plus, if you do make it to the Stanley Cup final, you do get to take some hardware home. You do get a banner to put up. It's not the ultimate prize. You just got to be happy with what you have, I think.
Yep. Some of our teams can't all have dynasties.
For those not in the know, Ben is a Red Wings fan. So he's experienced the thrill of Stanley Cup championships. I, on the other hand, am a Leafs fan, and I've never been alive for a Leafs Stanley Cup final appearance, let alone a win. So because I'm so hungry for one, I'm going to go fake on this one. I would gladly take the Leafs making the playoffs and losing in the final 4 straight to whoever, Vegas. I would take that in an instant. However, if the Leafs had won a Stanley Cup or 2, then this one might be authentic for me. But I'm hungry for playoff success for the Leafs. So
at least you've seen a playoff win.
This is true.
I have not. As a Winnipeg Jets fan, I am still waiting on that playoff win that even Columbus has.
I was at the game the last time the Leafs won a playoff series, 2004, Game 7 against Ottawa, which is sad that that's a marquee date in Toronto Maple Leafs history. All right, let's open up the mailbag and get to that. And we got a couple new questions in the HJC mailbag. If you want to leave a question and have it answered on the podcast, make it a good question, but also leave it on the forum on hockeyjerseyconcepts.com. You'll see it on the right side of the page. It says HJC mailbag. Leave his question. It can be about hockey. It can be about any sport. It can be about love, financial advice, friendship. We deal in it all. We give terrible advice, but we do deal with it all. There's a really good question here from John, who links to a blog called Third String Goalie. I'm sure a lot of people have seen it. Talking about a Montreal Canadiens jersey. John, that's a really awesome question. It's so awesome that it deserves its own podcast. So that'll come up later. Our own writer, Steve, Sunday writer. What is the key to a successful marriage? Sean, Ben, you guys married?
No.
Why Ben?
I am not.
You guys got some really quality advice for Steve then?
Make sure she's a hockey fan. Make sure she's not a Senators fan. And if she meets those 2 things, you should be okay. If she is a Senators fan, mock her relentlessly.
And ask for the engagement ring back.
Get the ring back until she learns.
I am a married man, and the key to a successful marriage Let's just say, I don't want to get in trouble here. Not that the wife listens to the podcast, but tolerance. Go with tolerance, and make sure you find something that you're interested in, like hockey, and that way, when she gets on you, you have your escape, which is hockey. We have another question here. It's an older question, but it's phrased: should Team Olympic athletes from Russia allow players from countries outside of Russia participate in the Olympics? I think it refers to the KHL, which claims it's going to withhold players in protest of Russia being banned from the Olympics. Pretty simple question. Should KHL players from other countries be allowed to go to the Olympics, Sean?
KHL players from other countries being allowed to play for their home country. That's the question, right?
Yes, that is, yeah.
Okay. It wasn't that KHL players, because they play in Russia, should go play for the team that is from Russia but is not the Russian Olympic team.
No. They cite other countries like Denmark or Belarus here.
Oh, that'll help them. Sure, why not? Let them play. I see no reason to withhold players like that. I get why the KHL is doing this. The KHL can be shady at times. I think we can all agree on that.
Can be.
But can be is an understatement.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that if they're not Russian and if they have not been doping, and you can find a way to get to your national team and they let you on the roster and you are good enough for that roster, then yes, you should be allowed to play if you meet all those things. If you don't, I don't know. Again, I can't think of anybody who would really boost a team, like with the exception of Kovalchuk, and he's Russian.
So he's going to be on the Olympic athletes from Russia team, who are apparently going to play with no logo now because they could not find a logo that was approved by the IOC. So that should be fun. Ben, what are your thoughts on KHL threatening to withhold other players from their countries at the Olympics?
I'm not really sure what the KHL policy towards its players are. Like the NHL can apparently shut down its players, but if I'm in charge of the KHL, yeah, absolutely, let the players play for their own countries. You know, it's one thing to put on a jersey with of a professional team logo, to put on a jersey with, you know, your country's flag on it. It's something completely different.
Now, just a little offshoot from that, I wonder if athletes, hockey players, would quit the KHL in an effort to play for their country. I thought about that. I don't know. I guess you'd be giving up a lot of money, and I don't know if you could afford to do that. But
yeah, where would you rather play, the KHL or the AHL? Because I can't really imagine, with the exception of a Kovalchuk, Datsuk, those type of guys, who Canadians, Americans, Swedes, whoever in the KHL that could do that. You'd be playing at an AHL Spengler Cup level.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. The IIHF seems to be satisfied that the players will be allowed to go, and it's kind of ridiculous actually, because the NHL can withhold their players because they police themselves. They're not under any jurisdiction except for their own. The KHL is under IIHF jurisdiction, so it's a power play is what it is. We had a question left on the 16th of December, and it's asking us our names. No, you cannot have our names. You didn't leave your name, so no, we will not give you your names. That's the HJC Mailbag today. Thanks, everyone, for your questions. Again, if you want your question answered on a future episode of the HJC podcast, leave your question on the side of the page where it says HJC Mailbag. That'll just about do it for everything we got today. Sean, Ben, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for having me on once again.
Absolutely. Yeah, Sean's a staple now, unless he goes to Florida. But this week on HockeyJerseyConcepts.com, we have the final week for entries for the 2017 Concept of the Year logo competition. We have shirts and stickers for sale on the blog, HJC Jersey Casual shirts for sale, and also HJC logo stickers for sale. So go to the blog under the shop heading. You'll find links there to buy those products. And be sure to tell a friend about this podcast. Spread the word. Help us out. We'd love to get as many listeners as possible. There aren't a lot of people out there talking about jerseys consistently, but we are. So if you're enjoying this, grab a friend, show them the podcast, and get them interested. We'd love also to hear some comments and feedback. So if you want to let us know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, head over to hockeyjerseyconcepts.com and just tell us what you like about the show. And also you can get involved in the conversation and give us your opinion on everything we talked about today. That's what we got for you this evening, and we'll be back next week with more HJC podcast. Take off, eh?